Hello, everyone. Welcome to more Tyrion Cuthbert, Journey of the Arcane. Last time, we got into a bit of the thick of it of what was happening last time. And let's just say, oh boy! Everything's going on. But it is a fun act, as one would say. So, we're here for the long haul, aren't we? Anyways, so, I think, if I know right, I might be finishing the game next Tuesday. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about what the plans are after Tyrion and Cuthbert. So, I will be playing Needy Streamer Overload and Bed Ends Theater. So Needy Streamer Overload will take Tuesdays and Bed Ends Theater will take Thursdays. So, like I said, I think I'll be finishing this next Tuesday. We'll start with Bad Ending Theater on Thursday, and then the Needy Streaming Overload will take over the Tuesdays afterwards. So, as in, say this, the 13th will be the start of Bad End Theater, and then the 18th will be the start of Needy Streamer Overload. And this weekend, I think we have the plan together that we're doing some more picks. We're doing more couple mod this weekend, so I might stream that as well. So actually, might more like I will stream that next week. It's just how that this weekend, Saturday. So prepare for that. What time are we starting? I have no clue. Probably around 1 p.m. because that's when probably around like 2 p.m. or something, because that's when we usually start stuff like this. And hopefully Alexa can join us this time. She's been having some very bad internet problems, and it honestly sucks for her that she has to deal with this. I feel so bad for her. Anyways, now that that's out of the way and all that jazz, now that I've talked about all of that, I'll discuss it again at the end of the stream. But for those who are just tuning in, it was like, wait, what was that? I didn't catch that. I'll talk about it again at the end of the stream. Let's play Tyrion Cuthbert, Journey of the Arcane. Load game. You step outside the Scale Lord's lair to get some fresh air. These new revelations are a lot to take in. Thus looks especially down. From what you observed, he and Arya have been speaking to each other a lot. They must have become friends over the many times they met. You can't imagine how powerless she feels right now. Arya, I'm so sorry. Don't be. Her voice begins to break. She's always been so stoic, but it's clear she's even has her breaking point. I can't imagine what you're feeling right now. But there's still hope. If we can find out who did this to you, we can still save you. Do you remember if you signed anything recently? No, I don't. Damn it. The Patriot must have wiped your memories to cover their tracks. But I still don't understand. Even if I don't remember signing that contract, I don't think I would be that careless. Right. As much as I hate to admit it, Lucio was right. You're an attorney like me, and we always carefully look over contracts before we sign them. Which raises the question of how the patron got your signature. I don't know. Damn it! We don't even know what circumstances you were under when you signed that contract. For all we know, the patron could have used any number of tactics to coerce you into doing this. That's also possible. Arya. As you deliberate amongst yourself, Lord Steelwing approaches you. What are you doing here? Sir, you may not know this about the whole, attorney business. despite the fact that your daughter is the prosecutor. But usually the defense and the prosecution don't really talk to each other. Don't use me and your daughter as an example, though. Father. I can't believe him. How does he have nothing to say? His actions say otherwise, but you could have sworn you saw something through the eye. It's almost as if he was saddened and worried. It's like he... Does he want me to win the trial? Well, no matter how he feels internally, he's made it clear that he's your enemy. Whatever his motivations are, you'll overcome him, just like everyone else. We should also head back, Celeste. Right. No matter what it takes, you're going to see this through. Court is now resumed. Shall we pick up where we picked up where we carried off? How would you like to proceed? I think we should review what we do know about the murders. We do have a plethora of witnesses to work with. That's correct. So let's start from the beginning. It all began at noon yesterday morning. I was at my house in Rome with Arya and my bodyguard Celeste. I was speaking with them when a courier suddenly delivered a letter to my home. It was from Gears Pierce. He wanted to meet with me and Celeste at the Grand Cathedral of the Scaled Lord at 2 p.m. To make sure we were on time, we arrived at the Grand Cathedral at 1 p.m. At the time, we didn't know that the cathedral was closed to the public, but the knights guarding the cathedrals let us through anyways. Apparently, they were expecting us. That should have not been possible. Due to the solemnity of the situation, we were very particular who was permitted to enter the cathedral. It's possible someone pulled some strings to let us through, and it definitely was Master. As much as... because Aster didn't know there was going to be 3 murders. Or you 2 entered the cathedral illegally. Well, I'm sure that knight from the Kingsguard can vouch for us. I know about every order given to the Kingsguard, and none of them were told to let you 2 through. It's possible the knight we met fell comatose like the others. As long as they were unresponsive, we'll never know. Perhaps we should continue. Anyways, we arrived at the church and spent the next hour sightseeing before we went to meet with Pierce. In that time, we met with Remus, Lucio, Arya, Aster, and Aztec. And around that time, Arya and Aster left together to meet with the High Speaker in his quarters. While exploring the cathedral, we spoke with Juan Sanctus and Celibus. Then we spoke to the 3 Sega sisters and Eris Imitator. Eris Imitator? She's a friend of Beatrice Frega's. The Kingsguard wouldn't let her bring her familiar into the cathedral, so she brought Eris to guide her instead. Anyways, we left the garden around 1:45 p.m. to meet with Pierce in the prayer room. And around this time, Arya left her meeting with the High Speaker and felt nauseous. The last thing she remembers is looking at the Lake Galrod. A likely story. Regardless, at 2 p.m., Aster went to pay respects to his father's body. Unbeknownst to him, a mage has placed a glyph of conspiracy in front of his father's coffin. It was set to trap him within a forced cage. What a despicable act. Considering what followed, the act on His Majesty must have been a diversion. Right. It was also that time that both Beatrice and Eris went missing. Considering the timing of all this, someone must have taken control of Beatrice's body after the trap on Aster was sprung. And you're saying this patron controlled her as well. No, I don't think so. According to her contract, her mind belongs to the Empress of Discord, not the patron. Tyrion, have you ever considered that the Empress of Discord is also the patron? Furthermore, Arya's blood contract was created by the Empress. It's clear that the patron and the Empress were in leagues of each other. Wonderful. Another demon we have to worry about. Anyways, the patrons and the Empress all have the pieces they needed. That's when they began the massacre. The patron took control of Arya's body and then used them to murder Zoan Sanctus at 2:05 p.m. Presumably, Arya started a fire in the common room around this time. And since Von Sanctus' body was found there, it must have been after she murdered him. Shortly after, Prince Aztec spotted smoke from the fire and asked Arya what was going on. Arya responded by using an unknown transmutation spell to indicate him. Hold on. And when fire builds this liquid. Oh, we have to figure out which. God, we have a lot of spells. Not gonna lie, out of all the spells Arya has, I think she had to cast Polymorph on him. It's the only transmutation spell she has. Oh, she also has like shape liquid, but shape liquid. Yeah, that's a transmutation spell, but that doesn't seem like it would implicate, Actually, I don't actually know. Come to think of it. To think they would use her attacks to attack the prince as well. Luckily, the effects of that spell were only temporary, and Aztec came out unharmed. After this, the patron used Arya to murder Syllabus at 2:15 p.m. She brought Syllabus' body to the westward balcony, where she dumped it into the Lake Godon. High Speaker Alcatraz witnessed this, but he wasn't aware that she's thrown off the balcony until much later. The High Speaker thought this encounter was strange, but he continued with his business. He headed to the prayer room, but then was turned away by the knights standing guard there. Meanwhile, Celeste and I were talking to Lord Pierce when we showed up. For the meeting earlier. He was clearly expecting someone else to show up. We tried to get to the bottom of what was happening, but he refused to answer our questions. And about at 2:20 p.m., we heard a commotion outside. Celeste went to investigate. And that's when Celeste fought Arya. The patron's target was Gears Pierce, but Celeste was too powerless to neutralize. They fought each other for about 15 minutes before Arya was finally able to push past her. And during their fight, the Empress sent Beatrice into the prayer room. She probably made Beatrice invisible to move undetected. Then she used her to cast a sleep spell on Pierce and me to knock us out. I remember checking the time close to when this happened. This must have happened at 2:30. If your testimony is correct, Beatrice de Frega was actively used in this plan. Yes, and considering how quickly the massacre unfolded, the Empress must have coordinated with the patron. They probably planned how to use Beatrice and Arya to carry out the murders. Anyways, after Beatrice knocked us out, Arya finally pushed past Celeste and entered the prayer room. And before Celeste could chase after her, she has already murdered Pierce. And Arya and I were left unconscious by the time Celeste entered the room. The patron has already achieved their goal of murdering the three nobles. So she probably felt unconscious after they released her control over her. Arya and I regained consciousness shortly after. That's when the Inquisition arrested her for the murders. Lord Pierce was one of the victims. Your meeting clearly had more significance than I realized. So tell us, Cuthbert, what was your discussion about? Celeste's parents. It's fine. You can tell them. Alright, as long as it's okay with you. For the past month, Celeste and I have been investigating who her birth parents are. I recall receiving many complaints about her during the Lord's Ball. Supposedly, Gears Pierce had the information we were seeking. That letter he sent us said that he wanted to trade information for his freedom. I assume this meeting meant that he wanted me to be his attorney. Do you honestly expect us to believe that? Why would he ask for help from the attorney who indicated him in the first place? We thought the same thing. And when we arrived at the meeting, it was clear I wasn't the intended recipient. This means that Pierre sent that letter to someone else. You better not be lying to us, Cuthbert. Why would I lie about this shit? Frankly, I don't care much if you believe me. Regardless, if we examine every action that Arya took, we can build a psychological profile of the patron. I will give you that. To begin, the defendant would like to call the Inquisition commander to the stand. His testimony might shed some light on how Von Sanctus and Syllabus died. Despite all the witnesses' account, we still only know how Pierce was murdered. Yes, he was impaled using a blade magically frozen from his own blood. In a grim way of that, it's almost poetic how he died the same way Flintheart died. Good job keeping that in for good job, Tyrion. Way to say that in your mind instead of out loud in front of the dead guy's daughter, who also happens to be your friend. But you doubt that will give Celeste any kind of closure. Anyways, we need to find out exactly how Arya murdered Von Sanctus and Syllabus. The massacre was swift and efficient. It must have required a lot of forethought and coordination. If we figure out who might have had this knowledge, we might be able to find out who did this. I see. That sounds as good of a plan as any. Kingsguard, escort Commander Orem White to the witness stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Right, Why is he so scared of Lucia? Me. Commander? I'm sorry, I just can't do this. How am I supposed to act like this is normal? A giant lizard is standing right behind me. How dare you insult the Scale Lord White? How dare? Calling me a lizard is highly offensive, Commander. Sorry, your Scaled Lordship, sir. Commander, just try your best to testify about what happened. Yeah. It all started when we received the report from the Kingsguard. The prosecutor attacked Prince Aztec and a fire had broken out in the common room. We weren't sure what the deal with Steelman was, so we went to the common room to put out the fire. But when we got there, we noticed a bunch of unconscious knights in front of the prayer room. We went to the prayer room, and that's when we found Steelwing and Cuthbert unconscious next to Pierce's dead body. We later found the bodies of Von Sanctus and Syllabus too. That's when we realized that she's off all three of them. So you still have no idea how Steelwind was used to murder Von Sanctus or Syllabus. Not a clue. It's especially worse for Von Sanctus. That fire burned a lot of physical evidence off his body. What about Syllabus? Was there any physical evidence on her body? No idea about that either. She didn't have any wounds either. All we know is that she died from suffocation. There's definitely more information you can glean from their investigation. And this is mainly based on Prince Aztec's testimony, am I correct? Yeah, we still have no idea which transmutation spell she hit him with. Judging from the time of the report, this must have been well after all three murders have occurred. Yeah, it's unfortunate how that played out. If Steelwind really was controlled, whoever controlled her knew how to get the job done quickly. That leaves the question of how did they do this so efficiently? We weren't sure how the deal with Steelwind was, so we went to the common room and put out the fire. Was that wise? Regardless of who it was, someone assaulted a prince of Wyvengard. We are already dealing with the king who is trapped in that forced cage. Honestly, a lot happened in that hour. You're telling me, Commander? And most of our attention was focused on keeping the royal family safe. We can already conclude that the attack on the king was a distraction. Whoever orchestrated this must have known we focused our attention on keeping the royal family safe. You suppose that makes sense, and a casualty still may include many knights from the Kingsguard. They probably had to spread their forces thin to protect everyone else and handle the fire in the common room. what did you do when when you arrived at the common room, Commander? Did you see Arya or Celeste? No, we only saw the aftermath of their fight. There were marks and craters everywhere in that hallway. Pierce's time of death was 2:45 p.m. and the knights didn't arrive at the common room until 3:10 p.m. They didn't arrive at the prayer room until well after the battle has taken place. Wait. Wouldn't that mean you were in the room with Pierce's body for 25 minutes? Why didn't you look for help? You weren't waking up for some reason, so I kept channeling my healing magic into you. Looking back, I probably should have just looked for help. But even if Arya was unconscious, I didn't want to leave you alone in that room with her. Right. Sorry. Recalling that moment is clearly taking a toll on her mind. You should be more careful. Judging from the timing, this would have been several minutes after he's already died. Yeah, and while we had no idea what's going on, Pierce was already dead, and you and Steelwind were unresponsive. I can see why I'd be unresponsive. I was hit with a spell specifically designed to make people sleep. But why would Arya be unresponsive too? We have no idea. We never heard of demonic possession until today. Oh right, because I guess it didn't come up. The demonic possession didn't really come up in Severed Ties. Right. For all we know, it could have all been a side effect of being controlled for over an hour. You suppose that makes sense, but could that comment thread truly be more of a coincidence? That last statement was a little vague. Perhaps you should ask him to elaborate more on one of the murders. Whose murder should he elaborate on? Could you elaborate more on Von Sanctus's murder? Was there any evidence that implied how he died? Like I said, it was trickier with Von Sanctus because the fire pit partially burned his body, and our divination magic could only tell that he died from suffocation. I see, so there's no other physical evidence. Well, there is one thing. From his burn marks, we did know that he was hit by a firebolt before he died. We are guessing she wanted to weaken him before she dealt the final blow. So he took a direct attack from her before he died. Anyways, please add this to your testimony, Commander White. Sure, whatever you say, kid. I'll just press the statement. Right. Firebolt is in her spell Continonium. And Von Sanctus wasn't exactly a fighter, after all. He was just a petty murderer, obviously. Yeah, the poor sap didn't have a chance. He must have been in immense pain from the attack. Despite how much you know, there's a lot of details missing about how Von Sanctus and Sylvis died. Anyways, this makes sense. You don't want to jump to conclusions yet. Either way, if Von Sanctus isn't the victim you want, perhaps you should ask him to elaborate on the other murders. Could you elaborate more on Syllabus's murder? Was there any evidence that implies how she died? Using our divination magic, we know she died of suffocation, but we're not exactly sure how. But unlike Von Sanctus, Syllabus's body wasn't burned. Shouldn't there have been wounds around her neck if she was suffocated? Well, we found traces of necromancy on Syllabus. We think Steelwind cast men wounds on her body after she offed her. This would have removed any wounds on the body. It's exactly what happened with Caroline Bellwether. Yeah, the only wounds she had were from the implication of falling into Galakron. Anyways, please add this testimony to your testimony, Commander White. Sure, whatever you say, kid. How did you know her body was in there anyways? When bodies started dropping, we noticed she was nowhere to be found. One of the Kingsguard cast locate creature and realized she was somewhere in the lake. It took us an hour before we finally fished her out. Based on the High Speaker's testimony, she died well before that. And since someone cast my wounds on the body, we still don't know how. Yeah, it's going to be a real headache figuring that out. You're compelled to agree with him. No one saw the murder. Could you please elaborate more on Pierce's murder? Was there any evidence that implied how he died? Well, that one's simple. McCoy chased Steelwind into the prayer room, but didn't arrive until fast enough. When she got there, Pierce was already dead. He was killed using a blade magically formed from his own blood. But why would she do something like that? When he murdered Flintheart McCoy, he only used shaped liquid to avoid leaving behind any evidence. I thought the Patreon would make Steelwind do the same thing. Their intent was to pin the crime on her. Well, we think she knew McCoy was on her trail. She didn't have enough time to suffocate him as she did with Von Sanctus and Silvus, and she didn't have any weapons on her. She must have had to improvise. But she had other spells that could have done the job. She could have hit him with a Steelwind strike. I know from experience that she's terrible at controlling that spell. It's possible she didn't want to unleash such a powerful spell in a closed room. That sort of tracks, but it doesn't feel right. You can't really refute it now, but it's best to move on. Anyways, the other two murders were really well planned. Pierce's murder was the only one that required improvisation. It's possible that the patron severely underestimated McCoy's combat capabilities. She fought my daughter for almost half an hour. Meanwhile, the other two murders occurred within quick succession of one another. Yeah, I see what you mean. Anyways, please add this to your testimony, Commander White. Sure, whatever you say, kid. Oh, that's... Frozen Jack was on... think I want to go back to Fontanctus's murder. Because... Oh, what fireball?
Objection!
Okay, no! Your Grace, it's clear that the witness testimony is contradictory.
Objection!
No.
Objection!
No. So like physical evidence, you're not sure what to use. Fontanctus and Syllabus both studied via certification. We could probably assume that the patron used the same method to murder both of them. Well, you know what they say about assuming. Don't be cute, Cuthbert. You can't help it! What? First shot.
Objection!
Nope. Wait. It could be as simple as the... It could be as... I probably was on the right track. It was just the simple case of right evidence, wrong misstatement.
Objection!
No.
Objection!
Ah! Wrong auxiliary report! Wanted to present hers.
Objection!
I guess that's kind of one. Whatever you say, kid. From McCoy's testimony, we know that Steel Wing killed Pierce in the prayer room. I'm so glad I don't have to worry about penalties.
Objection! Objection!
Oh! Wait! Huh? That's strange. What is it now? Commander White, you said that Seal when attacked Von Sanctus with a firebolt before she suffocated him. Yeah, she probably wanted to injure him so it'd be easier to subdue. But that's what I find strange. Von Sanctus knew he was under attack. So wouldn't he cast Forged Cage to repel her? I guess that's true. Von Sanctus was hardly a warrior, Cuthbert. Force Cage is an extremely useful spell, but it has to be aimed. He was hit with a firebolt, so he must have known he must have been in immense pain. I doubt he'd been able to think clearly under those circumstances. I normally agree with you, but the crime scene tells another story. What do you mean, Mr. Cuthbert? When we investigated the crime scene, we found traces of obfuscation magic that formed a perfect square around the body. I'm sure if we measured the dimensions of that square, it'd be 10 by 10, which is the same length as width as the cube created by Force Cage. So he created Force Cage on his own? Like you said, he wasn't no shame to aim it. So he cast Force Cage on himself to create a makeshift barrier. Nonsense! If Von Sanctus had cast Force Cage on himself, he should have been protected from further harm. The defendant wouldn't have been able to suffocate him after that. Perhaps there's some way to bypass Force Cage. And once again, your ignorance of the arcane arts is impendent. Okay, look! My magic isn't arcane magic, okay? Force Cage is one of the most powerful observation spells in existence. It cannot be dispelled, and no one can teleport into or out of it. Right. Aster was also trapped in a Force Cage, and he had to wait an hour duration to elapse. How did Sealwind suffocate him? Wait, if Force Cage is a perfect closed space, is it possible he ran out of air? That would be a glaring weakness. Von Sanctus obviously designed that spell to allow oxygen through the barrier. And before you ask, poisonous gases can't be pushed through the barrier either. Only oxygen can travel through it. Right. Even if they had used poisonous gas, yes, the report would have said he suffocated. Breathing. She was outside the first cage. How could she have suffocated? The force cage is specifically designed to allow oxygen through its barriers. What if there is no oxygen left in the room? No oxygen? Ah, see. It was the fire in the common room. The patron knew Arya couldn't harm Von Sanctus once he was inside in that force cage, so she started a fire to eat all its oxygen within the room. What should have protected him ended up trapping him. An inability to spell it ended up sealing his fate. Well, I suppose that explains how the defendant murdered Von Sanctus. But with that in mind, a lot of this plan sounds like it was improvised at the moment. Just like the murder appears. And not only that, we assume that the patron used the same method to kill both Von Sanctus and Lady Syllabus. I doubt that Lady Syllabus died under the same circumstances. Correct. There was only one fire. And if Syllabus was in that force cage, the defendant wouldn't have been able to throw her body into Galan Koran. Which means Syllabus died by suffocation elsewhere. Then it is clear our next course of action is to determine how Lady Syllabus was murdered. We still don't know where she was murdered. And the only witness who saw her around her this time was the High Speaker, which was after the defendant disposed of Syllabus's body. Well, the High Speaker's testimony is a good start as any. For our next witness, the defense would like to call the High Speaker, Saren Arceus, to the stand! I love. What's wrong? It's nothing. Please carry on. Kingsguard, escort High Speaker Arceus to the stand. In this stand. Witness, you will testify about. Oh, great, oh, blessed Scale Lord! To think you would be grace us with your presence! I see why the Scale Lord was a little hesitant! Understandable, your grace. Oh my god. Ah! Forgive me, Lord Racian. I spoke out of turn. You must think I'm an arrogant fool. Wow, it looks like the witness is smooshing the judge for once. How many times do I have to tell you people I am not a god? Yeah, we don't like the gods, apparently. So therefore, people don't like Tyrion because he's what's known as a Heavensborn. Yes, I reserve and serve as god of dragons, but I am not the Balamut's avatar. But you're the Scale Lord! I'm just a dragon, not even a powerful one. I am not a deity. This is humility. This is exactly how Balamut's avatar would say. I swear to God! He even swears by the god's name. Lucio, please handle this. Perhaps another approach was warranted. High Speaker Arceus, the great and powerful Rat Son calls upon you today. We require You require my blood? God fuck. No. We just require your testimony, sir. Oh, great. Of course, I will gladly give my life for the Scale Lord. What? No! Of course, my blood could never be enough. Would you just let me? I will do as you wish, my lord. I might take some time, though. I need some time to gather some followers and... Oh my god! We just want your testimony! Just tell us what you saw when Miss Steelwind was at the West Ward balcony yesterday. Oh, I see. If that's what you truly wish, my lord. Are we gonna just ignore how he was ready to commit mass murder? Be quiet. We just got him to calm down. And these are moments why I love this game. Hold on, I need to blow my nose. Sniffle this. Anyways, let's continue on with his testimony. I was doing some paperwork in my quarters when I suppose I lost track of time. My alarm went off and I realized that it was time for my afternoon prayers. I began headed to the prayer room when I spotted Lady Steelwind looking over the West Ward balcony. I tried to greet her, but she didn't respond to me. That's when I noticed she was pushing something large over the balcony and onto the Grove Lake. I asked her what she was doing, but again, she ignored me and went towards the prayer room. I saw nothing of it and made my way there as well. That's when the guards there turned me away. I went back to my quarters and did my prayers there. Considering the timing of all of this must have happened minutes before she began attacking the prayer room. Yes, I consider myself lucky that the Scale Lord must have graced me with his divine luck. Please, just stop. Considering how quickly she was moving, there has to be a reason why she waited there. She was waiting for the High Speaker to leave. Perhaps you should closely examine the timing of these events. An alarm? It's a rudimentary artificery device. It used to remind me to conduct daily prayers. I see. And do you have it go off at specific times? Yes, it's set off to go at 2:10 p.m., 5 minutes before my afternoon prayers. What was her expression like? It was very cold and emotionless. The patron must have had control of her when this happened. Yes, that certainly makes the most sense. Right. What time did this happen? It was shortly after my alarm went off. It would definitely have been before 2:15 p.m. Before 2:15 p.m. But Syllabus would have died 3 minutes after that. But she was suffocated, not crushed. And that must have been the Syllabus's body? I suppose so. You don't sound so sure of yourself. It's just that I recall Lady Syllabus garbs to be much brighter. Meanwhile, the thing I saw Lady Steelwind throw over the balcony was much darker. Right, you mentioned that before. It's clear that it was just a trick of the sunlight. That balcony is directly above where we found Lady Syllabus's body in the Lake Garderon. You obviously saw the defendant dumping the body. What else could have it been? Yes, I suppose you're right. The patron was probably trying to keep her on track. But I'm sure she's surprised she didn't attack you. Even if the patron was trying to frame her, she hadn't killed Pierce yet. Yes, I'm a little confused about that myself. But perhaps I should just be happy I came out of the encounter unharmed. Anyways, how long did you talk to her? Our encounter was very brief since she was ignoring me. It could have been lasted for more than 2 minutes. I thought nothing of it and made my way there as well. That's when the guards there turned me away. Right, and these guards are still comatose. Which makes you uneasy that you still don't have an explanation for that! Did the Empress of Discord use some kind of demonic magic to do that? The Eyes of Horus doesn't leave magical traces, so it's possible that demonic magic does the same. Either way, it's awfully convenient that she left right before the attack on the prayer room happened. But you suppose you still have to put a pin in that for now. Anyways, what time did this happen? I believe it was 2:15 p.m. That's when I usually arrive at the prayer room. You were in your quarters during the massacre? Yes, as I mentioned before, my room is magically soundproof. My guards and I were woefully unaware of what was happening. We didn't know what was happening until some of the members of the King's Guard came to inform me of what happened to the king. Some of the members of the King Guard were with him, and he mentioned that his guards were there too. They can all probably verify this, but it's still a little hard to believe how close he came to harm that day. Anyways, how long were you in your quarters for? I waited there until the King's Guard noticed me that it was safe. I think I waited there until 3:15 p.m., which was around the time that Arya was arrested. Still before 2:15. Yeah, because Syllabus says at 2:18.
Objection!
Wait, what? Is something wrong? There is, but I'm not really sure what it means. Stop stammering and say what you want to say. Hi, speaker. You said that you saw Arya dumping something off the ledge of the balcony. There's no need to be vague, Cuthbert. It's clear from the evidence that he saw my daughter dumping Lady Syllabus's body before 2:15 p.m. That means Syllabus was still alive, Lucio! That's the thing, Lord Steelwind. It couldn't have been Syllabus's body. What are you talking about? The location from the balcony is to where we found Lady Syllabus' body. It lines up perfectly. That may be, but the witness just said he saw Arya dumping the body before 2:15 p.m. Wait! You see it too, don't you, Lucio? How did Arya dump Caroline Syllabus's body into the ground like before 2:15 p.m.? If her time of death was 2:18 p.m. I see. That does seem peculiar. But we know the defendant threw Syllabus's body from that balcony. There would be no other explanation how it ended up there. Yes, that's also true. Perhaps she was still alive when Arya threw her off that balcony. She could have been knocked unconscious with a sleep spell. Your Grace, there's no traces of concentration magic on her body. And even if she was asleep, she wouldn't have survived the fall from that height. The distance from that balcony to the lake is more than 30 stories. And the opposite report that says the cause of death is suffocation, not blunt force. Right. So when did she die? The high speaker testified that he saw Arya dumping the body before 2 p.m. Was he mistaken? Perhaps the time was later than he saw it. No, Celeste began a fight with Arya at 2:20. The high speaker saw her dumping Syllabus's body at 2:18. He would have been close to enough to hear that fight break out. He could only die. So when did she die? She must have died after she hit the water. But Mr. Colbert, Lucio just said that she would have died upon impact. But that's assuming she didn't do anything to lessen the blow. She has Soulfall! She has the Soulfall spell! Soulfall. Caster counteracts the forces of gravity affecting them, causing them to fall significantly slower than the when airborne duration. She might have had the opportunity to cast a spell to protect herself. That might explain why her body isn't damaged despite falling from such a great height.
Objection.
Again, that doesn't match with the evidence. Lady Syllabus's consequently contains the spell Soulfall. If she had the opportunity to cast a spell, she would have used that spell to slow her descent, and she wouldn't have taken any damage from hitting the lake if she's done that. That's a really good point. But just indulge me for a second. The caster creates a 6 zone around the body. The stone layer reflects and protects the caster from any physical trauma. The stone layer can slowly be broken through continuous attacks, but as long as the caster concentrates on the spell, the stone layer will dangerously repair itself. Yeah, she's the one who knows stone skin. And what traces of magic did she have on her? Transmutation, evocation, and necromancy. So let's try Soulfall. No, Syllabus couldn't use Soulfall. If she died, she wouldn't have taken any injuries from hitting her. Yeah, it has to be stone skin then. She must have cast a stone skin on herself. Stone skin. If you recall, the high speaker mentioned that something was strange about the object Arya threw over the balcony. It was much darker, and it didn't match with the Syllabus's usual garb. Almost as there was something else the Syllabus was wearing. That object that Lady Syllabus protected by a layer of stone. But that still doesn't explain why she would have cast that instead of Soulfall. He's right. She cast skin on herself before she was thrown into the lake. And Arya must have attacked her, and she cast that spell in response. That would protect her from the steel wing strike. But that doesn't seem quite right. What do you mean? I may have not seen much, but I saw. But the object Arya dumping was stiff and motionless. It may have. If it had been Lady Syllabus, would she have been struggling against her? Wouldn't she? That's a good point too. The high speaker saw Arya dumping a motionless Syllabus, but if she assumed my logic is correct, she would also still been alive. Okay. Uh... She must have been affected by a spell. And considering it kept her from resisting Arya, the patron must have made Arya cast that spell on her. Okay, let's look at it. Detect magic. Would it be the dispel magic? However, under effects, for example, still fake liquid on an effective liquid only possess character for further manipulated. No, Arya must have cast a spell on Syllabus, and the spell would have prevented her from resisting Arya while she threw her over the balcony. It was Hold Creature. Syllabus must have cast the stone skin on herself when Arya attacked her. The Patron must have known that Arya couldn't physically damage her like that, so they ordered her to restrain Syllabus with that spell. And Syllabus died by suffocation. That's right, Lucio. Syllabus suffocated when Arya threw her into Lake Godaron. Her stone skin lessened the impact of the fall, but it also made her drop like a lethal rock. Arya's Hold Creature's spell would prevent her from moving in or releasing her spell. She was helpless as she sank to the bottom of the lake. I believe that covers all 3 murders then. Yes. Lord Sansanctus suffocated to death in his own forced cage. Lady Syllabus drowned after Arya cast Hold Creature on her. And Lord Pierce died after being wounded by a blade created with the shaped liquid. The only common thread I see is that the patron used some of the victim's magics against them. But how does that connect to Pierce? Or did he cast the shaped liquid to make a blade to defend himself? Maybe the murderer took it from him and used it against him. No, but if he was knocked unconscious alongside you, he couldn't have been the one to create that blade. Anyways, whoever did this had an in-depth knowledge of each of the spells they used to defend themselves. They knew that Von Sanctus couldn't dispel his own forced cage, and they also knew that he still needed oxygen from within it. And in Syllabus' case, they knew Arya couldn't physically harm her once she had stone skin active. They also knew that Hold Creature would prevent Syllabus from dispelling her own stone skin. Not only that, they did all this in a quick time frame. Von Sanctus and Syllabus died within 13 minutes of each other, and if Arya hadn't encountered Celeste, Pierce might have died just as quickly. So whoever did this had an in-depth knowledge of a high-level magic. Not only that, they came up with creative ways to bypass the defenses put up by the Von Sanctus and Syllabus. Yes, they had the ability to react quickly and decisively. But considering the circumstances, that hardly narrows it down. Several members of the Four Pillars families were present that day. Each and every one of them studied at the Imperial Academy. They would all have knowledgeable in magic and its implications. Something they're saying isn't sitting right by you for some reason. There's something there, so why can't you see it? It's no use. You just can't piece it together yet. But you're not finished yet. There is another angle to this. Considering who the Patreon is, and didn't target. What's similar that we can draw between at least 2 of them? Von Sanctus and Syllabus were heads of their respective noble houses. Are you saying the Patreon's goal wasn't to assassinate the leaders of the Four Pillars? That's the motive that makes the most sense. But that does still leave one question. Why did they attack Lucio? Don't be coy. I'm not Draft Cuthbert. Actually, I highly doubt it was you. Really now. Out of the most people there, you could have easily tricked your daughter into sending a blood contract. But why would you need to do that? You're the Grand General of Wyvernguard's military, and the cathedral was filled with your men. You could have easily equipped one of your best mages to carry out this massacre. And you wouldn't even need to make a deal with the demon to do so. So why wasn't Lucio targeted then? From her encounter with Celeste, it's clear that there's a limit to Arya's combat capabilities. The Patron must have simply doubted Arya's abilities to defeat the Grand General. But there's also another explanation. The Patron wanted people to suspect House Steelwind for the murders. They used Lucio Steelwind's daughter to commit the crime. Then they intentionally left him alive to cast suspicion on him. That's why they used my daughter! Is that a tinge of anger you feel from him? Anyways, that leads me to my next point. Imagine if we never discovered Arya's blood contract with the Empress of Discord. What would have happened? We'd still be think that Miss Steelwind succumbed to Mageblade. She would have been convicted for the murders, and the trust in House Steelwind would be forever diminished. About a month ago, House Freyga lost its head, and his successor, Lifa Freyga, was woefully unprepared to take his place. Now the head of Von Sanctus and Syllabus are dead, with House Steelwind being held responsible for all of it. All four Pillar families would have been weakened as a result of the massacre. But I think there's another layer to this. Everyone fits together if we assume the Patron's goal was to weaken the Pillar families, except for the murder of Gearth Pierce. Yes, in contrast to Syllabus and Von Sanctus, Pierce's political power pales in comparison. Furthermore, Pierce is already scheduled to be executed next month for the murder of Flantar McCoy. It was poetic. The Patron murdered Pierce because they needed him to die as quickly as possible. Pierce knew the identities of Celeste's biological parents. My parents? Do you remember what Pierce said when we showed up for the meeting? Ah, you finally arrived. I suppose this means you finally decided— Wait! You two! We got your letter. Letter? What letter? You sent us a letter, Pierce. It said that you knew that's who Celeste's parents were. I did send that letter, but not to you two. We weren't the intended recipients of that letter. That's right. So that leaves one last question. Who did Pierce originally send that letter to? There's only one person that Pierce could have sent that letter to. The person who orchestrated the massacre in the first place. The Patron. But that means the Patron is someone who could have been threatened by Celeste's parentage. Order! Order in the court! We're not technically in court, though, Your Grace. But I don't understand. I'm sorry. I know this is a lot to take in, but I think they were targeting you for some reason. Pierce knew the identity of Celeste's parents and attempted to blackmail the Patron with this. Instead of complying with Pierce's demands, the Patron instead sent the letter to me. But why would go through the trouble of luring you there? They could have just allowed Pierce to wait in the prayer room while the defendant made her way to murder him. Looking back on it, it's possible they wanted to kill Celeste too. What? They knew I wouldn't meet with Pierce alone, and the information he had was about her. The Patron correctly guessed that I'd bring her with me. By killing both Pierce and Celeste, they eliminated any threat Celeste would pose to them. But who would they be threatened by such information? The mere existence of McCoy posed a threat to them. It must have been something to do with her birthright. Right. So who would that leave? What if the Eye Taker orchestrated this whole thing? The Eye Taker, that common criminal. What reason would he have to do this? I had firsthand that he was planning to expend his influence throughout Wavengard. He's actually plotting with Beatrice to use House Frege to do so. Since I ruined his original plan, setting up the massacre might have been his backup plan. Perhaps we're looking at this all wrong. What if Celeste was a part of the royal family and they were planning her to use to take the throne? But if he wanted to do so, why would he put McCoy in danger by having my daughter, attack her? Not only that, he also had a perfect opportunity to murder his majesty. I imagine if he had placed more lethal content in that glyph of consanguinity, his majesty still might as well have died alongside Von Sanctus Syllabus and Pierce. Yeah, I suppose you're right, but we need to consider every possibility. Anyways, we should consider the other suspects first. King de Wivengard just recently died. What if Celeste was a member of the royal family? You think I'm a princess? I don't want to suspect Aster, but I need to consider every possibility. And when it comes to conflicts of inheritance, the royal line of succession is the first thing that comes to mind. Not only that, the king would have had the authority to pardon Pierce for his crimes. But that wouldn't entirely make sense. What do you mean? If McCoy was abandoned at the tavern in Cornhaven, we assumed she's a bastard child. Okay, I don't know why I have to bring that up. My point is that King Oliver would never abandon a child of pure royal blood. The king has required the heirs to continue the royal bloodline. But Aster's older, so he'd already have this throne. He would leverage her in a diplomatic marriage. That's disgusting. That's diplomatic, Cuthbert. Anyways, even if McCoy was of royal blood, Aster is the king's oldest child. And he's a pure royal blood. McCoy would have no claim to the throne unless under these circumstances. Right, I see what you mean. I suppose that eliminates Aster for now. Anyways, we should consider the other suspects first. Who would that leave? I want to make a joke. As much as I have my doubts, House Steelwind is the only Pillar family whose house leader has survived the past months. You think I'm McCoy's biological father? I mean, it kind of makes sense. Ugh, you're barely a father to your actual daughter. I'm only stating the possibility for the sake of argument. As I said, it wouldn't make much sense for you to frame your own daughter when House Steelwind would be to blame. But we need to consider every possibility. Anyways, we should consider the other suspects first. So who would that leave? I recall during Beatrice Frege's trial, we heard William Frege's last will and testament. It mentioned that House Frege's asset would be divided evenly between all of his children. If McCoy were to be revealed as a Frege, his daughters would legally would be obligated to share the estate with her. Could I seriously be a Frege? I don't want to suspect Leafa or Miriam, but we need to consider every possibility. And if we have been seen, the Freges are no strangers to making deals with demons. But it still doesn't quite fit. I doubt that Leafa and Miriam would do something like this. What are you basing this on? I tend to be a good judge of character, and they just don't seem like the type of person to do something like this. Bah! You're far too trusting. I hold no doubt that any of William's children would be capable of something like this. I suppose we'll have to see. Ugh, but I can't think of anyone else. Yes, there are the flaws with each suspect. Your logic is clearly flawed. Well, you don't have to see him coming up with any ideas. There's something here that I'm not seeing, but I know I'm close. There's a missing piece that ties all of this together. Regardless, we still have no idea who this Empress of Discord is. I'm loath to allow such an individual to walk freely throughout Wavengard. Your Grace, you've been alive since the creation of Wavengard and magic. Do you know who this demon is? I can't say I do. demons tend to take on many titles over their lifetime. Whoever this empress is, they are brave to so blatantly encroach my domain like this. Well, I suppose we'll just have to cross that bridge when we get there. We obtained a lot of information today, but we clearly have many questions that need to be answered. How should we proceed? What is it, Mr. Cuthbert? I can't help but feel that there's something here I'm not seeing. I just can't put my finger on it. We have been working at this for quite a while. Perhaps we should suspend proceedings so that we could look into these new leads. I have no objections. But it would give my men some time to look into what we discovered today. Then it's settled. Oh shit, I didn't read what Tyrion said. Oh. We will be postponing proceedings for now. But you will all be expected to return here by tomorrow morning. You are free to return to your homes for the time being. But make no mistake, the Kingsguard will be keeping a careful watch over all of you. There's still this constant nagging sensation in the back of your mind. Hey, Tyrion? It's as if you've forgotten something extremely important. Tyrion? What is it? What could be so impossible, so important, yet so difficult to remember? Tyrion! Ah! Sorry. I was just thinking about everything. You're looking really stressed out. Do you want to head back to your house to rest? No, we only have a day until the trial resumes. If we can't figure out what happened after tomorrow, the magical traces will dissipate. But you already know what happened. You just don't know who did it. Yeah, but we should speak with the suspects again. Maybe if I get lucky, I'll see something through the eye of Horus. One of the suspects is the Eye Taker. What are you going to do about him? I suppose I'll also speak to him too. What? No! What if he tries to kill you again? Well, then I'll leave the room and you fight everyone. Arya's life is on the line. That's just a risk I'll have to take. Tyrion, do you even understand what you've been pulled into? What? Someone just murdered a bunch of nobles, and they even attacked members of the royal family. Now there's ancient dragon and demon lords involved too. Isn't this above your pay grade? Oh please, your trial was above my pay grade. Ouch. You know what? You know that's not what I meant. It's just this whole thing is crazy, isn't it? It's fine. It's just like any of our investigations. We've already dealt with demons before. It's not though. What if the Empress Discord attacks you? What if the Patreon decides that you're getting too close to the truth? What if I can't? Her voice begins to break. Celeste? Are you still worried about what happened? Are you still worried about what happened during the massacre? Thanks for the follow, Nicholas. I'm fine. I already told you that you didn't do anything wrong. You almost died, Tyrion. Oh, please, that's like that's like every case I almost die. I know. Tyrion, you almost died. I know, Celeste. No, Tyrion, I don't think you do. You don't have any idea how worried I was when she broke past me. When I saw you lying on the floor, so many things were going through my mind. I don't know what I've done if you were... She can't even complete that sentence. Celeste, you were so focused on everything else that you've been ignoring her. She was attacked by Arya and almost died. You never even saw how traumatic that must have been for her. I'm sorry. I didn't think. Don't apologize. Please just leave this to Lucio and the Scale Lord. You've done enough already. They can figure the rest of it out. And what if it's not enough? I'm not so arrogant that I'll think they can't do it without me. But what if they can't figure out who the patron is? Arya would spend the rest of her life in prison. What if I could do something to prevent that? I don't care if that happens. Celeste! I don't care, Tyrion! I apologize to her all you want after this. But all I want is to keep you safe. And I don't know if I'm able to do that anymore. Even if she's surprised what she said. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm really happy that you're a part of my life. But what? I know what you're saying is coming from a place of care. And I'm really sorry about how much I've worried you lately, but you're not gonna stop, are you? It's like I've always said. Man, king or god, nothing will stop you from getting the justice for your clients. I'm going to talk to Lucio. What? If we're going to meet the Eye Taker, we're bringing some knights with us. Celeste, that's hardly... Nope! You don't get a say in this! And if you're not here when I get back, I will find you. Judging from her expression, it's not an empty threat. Fine, just go. She might have a point, though. Before everything happened, you weren't even sure you wanted to continue being an attorney. Maybe you should consider a safer, quieter life after this is done. Perhaps a life with her. Wait, what? Alright, Lucio cleared it! It was surprisingly easy to convince him. Are you okay? I'm fine. Let's not waste any more time! Before she had the chance to respond, you hastily walked past her. Hey! Don't walk so far ahead! You need to stay focused on the trial for Arya's sake. But when this is all over, you'll... Well, you suppose you don't have to think about that until then. I love this game. And we'll continue We'll do our investigation here. Using the Kingsguard teleportation network, you arrive back at Rallendum. Due to Celeste's insistence, you're being escorted by the division of the Kingsguard. They definitely make you look out of place. As you walk through the city, you draw a strange look from nearly everyone who sees you. Sir, where will we be heading first? It's a little strange giving orders to the knights. Oh, please, we've done this before. Well, okay, not to the Kingsguard. We've done it to the Inquisition. Because we were being the prosecutor, you know. It's definitely going to take some getting used to. What's wrong? There's definitely something I'm fundamentally missing. But what? Just don't push yourself too hard, okay? Yeah, I'll try to pace myself. Anyways, we should speak with each of the suspects to confirm their alibis. That might help me finally put things together. Each of the nobles have returned to their respective homes. But our teleportation network should help you travel around Ravengard. To the murder scenes again! You're right back at the Grand Cathedral of the Scaled Lord. You probably won't need to investigate the crime scenes again. But you wonder if Aster or Lucio might be here. Sir, I have spoken with the groundskeeper. His Majesty and the Grand General are currently visiting Lady Steelwind. But supposedly they'll be here later today to talk with the speaker. Alright, I suppose we'll just have to come back later. Okay, I guess we're going to the Frege Manor. You arrive at the Frege Manor, hoping to speak with Life and Miriam. After some asking around, one of the servants mentions that they appear to be entertaining guests in the study. You know, you normally wouldn't interrupt them, but you've already eaten up a lot of time traveling here. Whatever they are discussing can wait. What is it? Oh, what is it, Tracker? Ah! As you enter the study, Tracker runs up and begins barking. But once he sees who you are, he calms down. Oh, hello, friends! Sorry for Bork. Tracker thought he smelled something bad. Oh, Mr. Cuthbert! You scan the room and see that Miriam's here, too. And as they appear to be speaking with Lord Apicius. Sorry for barging in, Life. No, it's no problem at all. Her emotions imply that she already knows why you're here. I'll skip the pleasantries. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions about what happened? Of course. I'll do anything to help with Lady Steelwind's situation. Aw, thank you. I'll be real with you. I never thought I would consider myself like a voice actor, but I love doing doing all this stuff. It's like I may not be great at it, but you know, does it really matter? No, not really. I'm just here to have a good time and play a game I love. Should I leave? No. You were there with me when everything happened. And your testimony was in This is also why I can't do so. I can't read. What up? Hi, I'm Nitro. I'm not gonna disclose my age, and I never learned how to fucking read. So substanate my alibi. Ohi Ingi. Leafy, I'm sure you know why I'm here, but I just wanted to preface this by saying that I highly doubt that you were behind this. No, I perfectly understand. Frankly, I'm also at a loss. I had no idea who did this. What are you talking about? It was clearly that criminal, the Eye Taker. Why didn't you go and interrogate him? Make no mistake, we fully intend to. That's why we have the Kingsguard with us. But I'd like to cover everyone else before I confront him. Let him be, Miriam. But it's his fault that Beatrice is... Our sister knew what she was doing when she gave her testimony. Don't insult her bravery by blaming Mr. Cuthbert for what happened. What? Anyways, Mr. Cuthbert has shown many times that he's acting in good faith. And is capable of convicting criminals that even we can't see. You mentioned Beatrice before. Did something happen? It happened right after she gave her testimony this morning. She felt unconscious shortly after she left the Scale Lord's lair. She hasn't woken up since, and Mostyn has gone missing. What? It must have been the Empress of Discord. After manifesting Lady Steelwind's blood contract, we all realized why she was acting so strangely. Right. If it weren't for her, I would never even considered trying to issue a divine She sacrificed herself to save Lady Steelwind. It seems our self-esteemed sister has put her trust in you, commoner. I love these sorts of games, honestly. If I would get to them way more quickly if, I had more time in the days, but I'm, super busy, and I can only stream, 3 times a week, and Saturday is usually dedicated to, not a game like this, even though I love them. So we'll do the same. If there's anything we can do to help you, please ask. I appreciate your trust, all of you. But I have to ask, where were you all between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. that day? Luckily, we were all together. Me, Leafy, and Miriam, Beatrice, and her friend were all in the garden before 2 p.m. But around 2 p.m., my sister and Miss Elementer both went missing. I can't believe we trusted her to take care of our sister! Hush now, Miriam. If the Empress of Discord took control of her, there's hardly anything Miss Elementer could do to stop it. I really do hope she's okay. She's been missing since the massacre. You mentioned that you all went to search for her. Did you see anything? No, we originally planned to search the cathedral grounds. But when we arrived at the nave, we found Aster trapped in a forced cage. Did any of you lose track of each other during that time? No, we stayed together the entire time. But we did consider splitting up to cover more grounds. But the Kingsguard found us and asked us to stay where we were. Right, I suppose that makes sense. And you did you see Eris at all when this happened? No, we never saw her. Yay, more testimonies to go before. She went missing at the same time Beatrice did. That's really suspicious. You don't think? It's definitely possible she's involved in this somehow. Not to mention, the Eye Taker is one of our suspects, and she is his daughter. She is his what? You didn't know? I thought that Beatrice would have told you. No, she didn't mention that at all. It looks like Eris has a lot to answer for. If you can ever find her, that is. I suppose I'll stop being around the bush. You know, as one would do. Have any of you made a blood contract with a demon lately? How dare you! This arrogant little peasant. No, I understand where he's coming from. I want to understand, but the very idea is infuriating. Of everyone present, our sister was the only person with known ties to a demon. If she was to share that secret with anyone, it would have been with us. You didn't catch any incriminating thoughts from them from the eye. A little bit of rude thoughts. But you've been misled by it before. Nevertheless, we still have no idea who this patron is. I was actually meaning to ask you during the trial. Oh, thank you for the hydrant. It is very important when I am doing this dubbing. That's why I always have a bottle of water with me. Though you cannot see it because I am but the VTuber. And I don't have an asset to be like, here is water bottle. Hydrate or dihydrate, as what they always say. Also, it is extremely windy outside, and I'm sorry if you have to hear any of the noise that the wind outside is making. Can't you just use the divine edict of yours to figure out who the patron is? No, to manifest the blood contract, I need the title of the demon and the name of the human they made the contract with. I understand that, but why not just apply brute force? What? Due to the king's funeral, the king's guard has a detailed list of everyone who was present during the massacre. Whoever's this patron is, they were working together with the Empress of Discord. That must mean they made a blood contract with her, yes? That's right! I could just keep using divine edicts until a blood contract appears. Wait, is that safe? There's only one way to find out! You take out your notes and begin looking at your list of suspects. You might be at this for a while, so you might as go go in order. You clear your throat in preparation. Empress of Discord, wherever you may hide, release thy guards and manifest your blood contract with Esther de Wyvengard! Ah! Tyrion, what's wrong? You collapse to the ground as you suddenly find yourself overcome in immense pain. What? What's happening to him? Laster, use your magic to heal him. Right. Oh, you silly, silly boy. You may be half human, but you can't just go around declaring lies like that. What? And I'm really looking forward to bringing you to the end of this. I haven't even started to have my fun yet. Who are you? Actually, I suppose that contract is still in effect. I guess my hands are tied. I'll save you just this once. Tyrion, please wake up! Celeste, you're okay. You most certainly don't feel okay. You can't feel every part of your body aching. It's painful for you even to sit up like this. Are you okay, friend? Yeah. What happened? You died. Oh yeah, absolutely you can join the Discord. What? I died? I've never brought anyone back from something like that. It was my strongest spell too. You have no idea how lucky you are. If I wasn't here, who knows what might have happened. I don't understand. The last thing I remember was issuing my divine edict. Wait, was that the cause? But I've done it before without any problems. I just used it this morning! It might be because Aster doesn't have a blood contract as the Empress. If demons are unable to lie, the same might be hold true for angels as well. Divine edict is clearly some sort of divine magic. So asking for a blood contract doesn't exist. It might be considered a lie. Sorry, it was my fault for suggesting it. No, I was being reckless. Please be more careful. I don't think my heart can take this. Well, at least we know that Aster wasn't behind this. So I guess we don't have to talk to him. I'm kidding. No, we gotta go. I want to go talk to the goddamn king. He was the most obvious one. Either way, you should still make note of this. Obviously. I don't like that part. Aster de Wyvern has no blood contract as the Empress of Discord. Obviously. Anyways, it's clear that I can't just issue edicts without thinking. I'll just have to wait until I'm certain of the patron's identity. Just please be careful. Anyways, it looks like you found everything you can here. Perhaps you should move somewhere else. Yes, it's back to the cathedral! You're revived back at the Grand Cathedral of the Scale Lord. Hopefully, Aster and Lucy are back now. Oh, Mr. Cuthbert! Ah, yes! The goddamn king. Just who I wanted to speak to. Oh, and the prince is here, too. As you enter, you are approached by Aster, Alec, and Lucio. How's your investigation? Are you okay? No, I died! You look quite pale. Yeah, there was a bit of an accident earlier. I kind of died. You're a little too embarrassed to admit that you almost ended up dying. Well, technically you did die. No problem, no problem. Well, try to excuse more caution next time. I didn't know what would happen, okay? Nobody knew what would happen. It'd be dishonorable if you didn't fall by my hand. Okay, note taken. Arya, Celeste. Form your stuff. Why is everything you say so aggressive? With Lucio, it's either a war metaphor or aggressiveness. Yes, because I am very violent. Anyways, you finally have your next suspect here. But judging from the evidence you've gathered, it's very unlikely that Aster is the Patreon. You do wonder if he saw something, though. First, I wanted to just show him this evidence. By the way, I attempted to issue a divine edict against you. But what? Why? I know, we were just trying to brute force something. My original plan was to issue edicts on every person I could think of, but apparently issuing them recklessly can have dire consequences. At very least, we know that you're not the Patreon. You would have had a blood contract as the Empress of Discord otherwise. Well, I suppose I'm happy I'm not a suspect anymore. Why are you looking at me like that, Cuthbert? Sorry, because you technically are one of my suspects. Indeed. After he attacked you in Frega's manor, you've always been a little weary of him. If it weren't for Celeste's reflexes, you might as well have very killed you that day. I'm not going to attack you again. All I have is Celeste, so I'll be fine. I hope you can understand my uneasiness. You did almost kill me when we first met. What? That's not... It's because you're a Heavensborn. You didn't know that at the time! Heck, I didn't even know that at the time! What? What does that me being a Heavenborn has to do with this? It's difficult to explain to someone like you. But warriors such as I hone and develop our senses to survive in a battle. Eventually, we develop the ability to sense hidden enemies and anticipate danger. I hear that such senses are heightened when in the presence of external entities. Until I met you and Beatrice Frega's familiars, I thought those stories were completely nonsense. Me and Marcium? As a Heavensborn, your blood is said to have originated from the heavens. I wouldn't go so far as to say that I believe in the existence of other planes. But I will admit that I still feel a certain aura from you that doesn't feel quite human. That's why you attacked me. I was extruding a threatening aura. It was actually the opposite. Your aura was too calming and bargaining. I thought it must be some kind of trick or illusion. I see. It's quite an astounding ability. What about you, McCoy? What? Do you not sense a similar aura when you first met him? Is that true? Ah! Wow! Wow! There's a really fancy carriage outside. I wonder who it belongs to. Oh, there's someone inside the inn too. Is that guy visiting my dad? Oh wow, he's kind of cute. Yeah! Oh, so she's always had a crush on us. It was kind of similar. For some reason, you feel a little embarrassed. Esther, I'm sure you know why I'm here. Is it because I'm one of your suspects, isn't it? I love our goddamn king. Your Majesty, you are the reigning king of Isengard. I expect you can conclude yourself with more dignity. Of course. My apologies, Lord Steelwind. Anyways, questioning you is honestly a formality at this point. I love our goddamn king. Really? A lot of the evidence works in your favor. He doesn't have a blood contract with the Empress, after all. Well, I appreciate your vote and confidence nonetheless. Lucio? Have you made any headway in figuring out who set that trap for Aster? No, I haven't. It makes me uneasy that you let someone get that close to my father's body. Yes, I can't begin to apologize for my men's incompetence. I mean, they could have been hit with some comatosing. If they were more vigilant, perhaps we would avoid the whole tragedy entirely. So your men were guarding the late king's coffin. Yes, they were. There wasn't a single moment when his body was left unguarded. We found traces of illusion magic at the location of the forest cage. Although we are still not sure who could have set that trap. There are still members of the Kingsguard that can cast both the forest cage and glyph contingency, and many of them fell comatose during the massacre. I don't think any of our victims or any spell competent we have. Yeah, no. None of this. Yeah, no spell competent has the glyph one. So we don't even know if one of them betrayed us. You think my men are that weak, Your Majesty? I think anyone can make me weak when put through enough stress. Regardless, we have no way of telling who may have been guarding the coffin, when the trap was set. This means that we have no way of telling when glyph contingency was set. I was actually meaning. Oh wait, sorry. I was actually meaning to ask about this, but couldn't we wait for the 48 hours to elapse? If we make note of the exact time the traces of elevation disappears, we can work backwards to discern the exact time the trap was set. Normally we could. When the spell is activated, I unfortunately panicked and cast a firebolt to try to destroy it. Of course, it didn't even put a dent into the force cage. Because of that, he left traces of evocation magic at the exact location the glyph of consistency. We can't discern what traces were left by the patron's glyph of conspiracy or His Majesty's firebolt. I'm terribly sorry about that. You can't blame him for reacting like that, but it's going to make figuring out who did this much more difficult. I heard you two visited Arya earlier today. How's she doing? I think she's doing the best she can, all things considered. No thanks to you. What? She's only in this situation because of you. Lucio, that's not me. You're the one who's heartlessly prosecuting her. She is far too weak for this. That's not what you truly think of her. You grossly underestimate the kind of person that she is. She defied the role for you tried to force her into, and instead she's dedicating herself to fixing our broken kingdom. Ever since that started, all you've done is insult her. But you know nothing about her, and she's far stronger than you realize. Despite her lineage, she can always carve her own path and pursue her own justice. Her own path? She's only became a prosecutor because of His Majesty. What are you talking about? She became a prosecutor to fix our corrupt justice system from the inside. And who do you think put those ideas into her mind? If she wanted to fix our justice system, she could have easily done so by weakening House Syllabus's influence. But she knew about your strange adulations of Ruby Tomria, and she knew how closely you followed every one of her cases. I know why she became a prosecutor. She thought that if she became like your idol, idol and defeated her, you'll finally notice her. You're wrong, Lucio. Arya Steelman would never care about me that much. Dude has been so oblivious about her feelings this entire time! I loved it! Are you seriously that dense? When you're still engaged to Lady Freyga, you flaunted your relationship in front of my daughter with no regards for her feelings. I remember each and every time I heard her silently crying in her quarters because of how oblivious you are. She changed every part of herself in order to please you. Is he getting angry on her behalf? Because we're commoners. Also because we used to be Ruby's. Because Ruby was our mentor. That's kind of why everybody hates us. But you know, Aster doesn't hate us. And he's like our biggest fan. That's why he got so excited. That's why he got so excited when he was like, when he was one of our suspects. Again, because this is the second time he was one of our suspects. Yeah, we love our goddamn king. My daughter is far stronger than any of us, but she's weak when it comes to you. Lucio, there's no point in fighting amongst ourselves. Please, stay focused on the investigation. It seems that he cares for Arya a lot more than you realize. And the eye showing his feelings are genuine. But then why is he doing everything he can to convict her? The mood is a little tense. I must ask you, Cuthbert, why are you going to such lengths for my daughter? What do you mean? Surely you understand the gravity of the situation. By taking part in this trial, you risk drawing the heirs of both nobility and whoever this Empress of Discord is. What are you planning? Lucio, I'm not planning anything. Please, do you honestly expect me to believe that you're doing this out of the goodness of your heart? I mean, I got nothing else to lose. Well, Scale Lord, you're actually doing it for that reason. Is that what all Heavensborns are like? I don't like thinking about it that way. I just can't stand by while I see injustice taking place. Even if you're standing in my way, I'll do whatever it takes to save Arya. I won't throw around such promises so loosely. I'm not. I will save her, Lucio. Anyways, it appears that you still have no idea who set that trap for Aster. Judging from the spell Contemnonium's hat, neither Arya or Beatrice could have set that trap. But the patron... No problem. Thanks for coming and stopping by, you know? You always have fun. Either way, it looks like you won't be getting any new information here. And you highly doubt the person who orchestrated this has any part of this that have met so far. There's one last person you need to talk to. Alright. You make your way back to the dark alleyway that Tomia brought you to a month ago. It would be too conspicuous to bring the Kingsguard with you, so they're hidden themselves in a building nearby. They gave Celeste an enchanted runestone to hold and channel her magic into. If she ever stops focusing her magic into it, the Kingsguard will be notified and they will storm the building. Are you ready? Yeah, let's do this. The Eye Taker is your prime suspect. Everyone else has an alibi and lacks a motive. Not to mention, Eris was with Beatrice when she went missing. You don't want to suspect her, but her father is a criminal. And she still hasn't turned up since the massacre. Alright, on 3. 1, 2, 3! Ha! What? There's no one here. Damn it! Of course he's not here. You betrayed him and you knew where his hideout was. You take a closer look at the desk he was sitting at during your previous visit. There's a thick layer of dust on it. Doesn't look like anyone's been here for a while. He must have moved his operation elsewhere the day you convicted Beatrice. I guess there's no point in staying hidden for anymore. You see Celeste toss the Kingsguard ruin onto the ground. A few seconds later, you hear the footfalls of soldiers rushing towards your location. Freeze! In the name of the woman! You see him freeze as he scans the room and sees no one else in here. Be careful, sir. They might have appeared to turn themselves invisible. They're not here, you idiot! Oh. You let out a frustrated sigh as you take a seat in the chair nearby. A cloud of dust is launched into the air as you do so. He had the last piece we needed. None of our other suspects had the means or motives to do this. But he's probably long gone by now. It's over. I'm sorry. But you did everything you could, didn't you? But it wasn't good enough. A part of you knew that was going to be a long shot. If he was involved in this, he'd definitely have kept his head down. What do we do now? There has to be someone who knows where he is. Wait a minute. Actually, there is one person who might know where he is. What do you... Wait, you don't mean... At this point, it's the only option we have. Are you sure? You two aren't exactly... I know, but I can't let my personal feelings get in the way of saving Arya. You're not gonna look forward to seeing her again. At least, that's what you keep telling yourself. Ugh. Has to process these feelings later. You have a job to do. You arrive at the office of Tomiya's law firm. According to Arya, Tomiya is still practicing, so it looks like she hasn't gone into hiding after like the Eye Taker apparently did. And if anyone knows where he currently is, she will. You bring your hands up to knock on the door, but you stop for a moment. Sir? After everything that happened, you still don't feel ready to face her. For the past months, those things you said to her kept replaying in your mind. You feel the familiar warmth of Celeste's hand again. You take a deep breath and seal your resolve. You knock on the door. Every moment of silence thereafter fills you with anxiety and dread. I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but I'm not currently accepting clients at... Cuthbert? She looks completely frozen for a while, but her gaze narrows as she notices the legions of knights escorting you. Are you here to arrest me? No, of course not. Can we come in? Yes, of course. You take a seat inside the office, but you can't really think of anything to say. And the knights aren't really helping to elevate the attention or whatever. Hey, Celeste. Did you take the knights outside and do a perimeter of the building? What? But are you sure? I am. But what if something happens? Celeste! We're in a populated building in the capital city of Wyvengard. I think I'll be fine. No, but... sorry, you're right. I'll just... With the motion of her hands, the knight follows her outside the office. Right before she leaves, she waits at the door and looks at you for a while. But after a while, she realizes how long she's been staring and quickly closes the door. Now then, let's get this over with. Is Celeste okay? She seems a bit on edge right now. Yeah, I think she's just been overprotective lately. I don't really blame her. did almost die. I did almost die a few times in the last few days. But what? It's a long story. And one of the times I actually did die! But then I came back to life. Thanks, Lazarus. And I don't think I'm even allowed to talk about it. Especially not with you. As the last part came out with a little more disdain than you intended. You take a deep breath. I received your letters. Oh, did you? I haven't gotten the chance to read them yet. Of course, whenever you're not busy. This is really awkward, but you're going to have this conversation sooner or later. Perhaps it would be best to just be direct. Miss Tormio, I trusted you. I know. I trusted you. I told you everything about myself. I put all my hopes into you. And you lied to me. You told a criminal about the Eye of Horus. It took me years before I was comfortable enough to tell you about it. And you knew that. Why did you even adopt me? You could have just left me in Onyx and moved on with your life. Why would you pull me into this? It sounds like she's trying to look for an answer, but nothing comes to her. I started to think about what my life could have been like. I could have done so many things. I might have been able to move on from losing my mother, but you adopted me, and you made your entire life focused around that one moment. I had a son once. For you, I mean. What? I wasn't always a city person. I used to live in an old farm just like the McCoys. My son and I used to run an old tea shop, just the two of us. Wait, you ran a tea shop?! I know, it's ridiculous that now that I think about it. But I was really happy back then. What happened? One night, a local nobleman had too much to drink at the local tavern. He barged into our shop and started destroying it with his magic. My son tried to stop him, but the Inquisition swept that entire case under the rug, obviously. They said that the nobleman felt threatened and acted in self-defense. She never told you about this before. What was his name? It was Ryan. Oh. What did you do after Ryan died? I thought long and hard about what I wanted to do. I was hurt and blinded by rage. So I decided I would take justice into my own hands. Wait, you didn't. No. At the time, I thought that killing him would be too easy. I broke into his manor and found every incriminating document I could find. I found everything, from records of illegitimate children to plots he was making against the other noble houses. Oh, thank you, Chickwa. I released everything to the public. It absolutely ruined him. That's when I realized that there was a way to make them pay. You didn't have to harm or kill anyone. You could just beat them at their own game. You could use the rules and the laws that they made against them. Just like an attorney. Yeah, just like an attorney. When I realized that, I moved to the city and started studying law. I read every book there was to read about Vanguard's law, and I learned how to work the system. I started representing clients who were clearly being framed by the nobility. But I didn't really care about saving them. I just wanted to see the looks on each noble's faces when I implicated them with the infeasible evidence. But it got more difficult. As I started punching higher, the nobles got smarter and more influential. I continued to acquit my clients, but the trials got closer and closer each time. But I was arrogant, and I felt invincible. I thought that no matter what happened, justice would prevail. And then your mother's case happened. I never met someone that remarkable before. She had this way of making you feel happy, no matter what kind of mood you were in. Yeah, I remember. But I failed her, and I failed you. Miss Tomia, I never once blamed you for what happened. I know, but that doesn't change the fact that I couldn't acquit her. She was executed because I didn't do enough. When you asked me to train you to be like an attorney, I was blinded by my desperation. I felt so alone and helpless. I wanted someone, anyone, to carry this burden with me. So how pathetic I must have been. That I looked for a grieving 10-year-old child. When I looked at you, all I wanted to see was myself. I saw a hurt and broken person who wanted revenge on the nobility. But I was too self-centered to realize that you were nothing like me. You cared about people, and you cared more about saving your clients than harming the nobility. I think I knew all along, but I just refused to see it. Maybe you were right about me. What? Maybe I was just using you to make myself feel better. I took you from your home and forced you to dedicate your life to my dream. Maybe I never really cared. If I did care about you, I would never have pulled you into a life like this. I'm sorry, and I can't begin to apologize for doing that to you. The eye shows her feelings are genuine. But that doesn't even matter. But does that even matter at this point? I've been thinking long and hard about this. I want to forgive you, Miss Tomiya, but I don't know if I can. I don't blame you, but I want to try. She looks away from you for a moment as she wipes a single tear. Miss Tomiya, no, don't call me that. What? If you can truly find it in your health to forgive me, I want things to be different this time. I'm not your superior, nor your mentor anymore. We're equals now. So call me by my first name. Okay, Ruby? Saying it feels really strange after all these years, but you hope that you can get used to it. Right, I almost forgot the entire reason why I came here. What is it? I didn't just come here to reconcile. I actually need your help with something. Okay. I need you to help me speak to the Eye Taker. Tyrion. I know, considering the circumstances, it would be probably strain your partnership with him even more. Tyrion. But if you just tell me where he is, I'll do my best to make sure that it doesn't get traced back to you. Tyrion, the Eye Taker is dead. What? He died right after you convicted Beatrice. He was lynched by a mob of civilians. What? Everyone's saying that was some sort of retaliation from House Freyga. Didn't you notice that he didn't send anyone after you? But Eris wait a minute. By the way, is your father still... Oh, if you're worried about him, we have already had a conversation about you. I don't think he'll be crossing you anytime soon. Oh, thank you. Why would Eris say that? Eris? Who's Eris? What? You met her before! She had long black hair, she wore a black dress. I suppose she really likes black. But anyways, she's the Eye Taker's daughter. Tyrion. The Eye Taker's daughter has red hair. What? She was there when we spoke to him during Beatrice's trial. That's right. What are you talking about? She was never at that meeting. What? What's going on? She was clearly there. If it weren't for her intervention, the Eye Taker would have attacked at that very moment. Why are you remembering things differently? I'm sorry, Lucio. But whoever this patron is, they must have full ownership of her mind. They could have easily commanded her to forget signing that contract in the first place. That's probably why she can't remember what happened during the massacre. No! Tyrion, what's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that? A part of you really hopes you're wrong about this. Why are Ruby's memories different from yours? That's the only explanation you can think of, but why? Her memories seem intact, except for her memories of Eris. Since her disappearance, you highly suspected she was involved in this. Not only that she was at the scene of the crime, she went missing at the same time that Beatrice did. You never stopped to ask one question. flood of memories come back to you. Warriors such as myself must hone and develop our senses to survive in battle. Eventually, we develop the ability to sense enemies and anticipate danger. I heard that such senses are heightened when presented of external entities. I thought those stories were completely hogwash until I met you and Beatrice's very familiar. Tyrion, I fought literal monsters and barely escaped with my life. But when I'm near Iris, none of those creatures ever come even close. I get this feeling like I'm in front of a perpetrator that I couldn't even hope to beat. Every instinct I have tells me to run whenever she's close by. I'm terribly sorry. He's not usually like this. It's to be expected. I'm not sure why, but animals always disliked me. There's still very little you know about demons. So what is to say one can't take the appearance of a human? But it's still a long shot. There's one way to find out for sure. Tyrion, talk to me. What's wrong? Ruby, I'm about to do something stupid. If I fall unconscious, I need you to call Celeste and tell her that I tried to contact Lord Aspidus or the Archduke. What? If you're wrong about this, there's no way either one will get in time. But it's already too late and the trial resumes tomorrow. You can't waste any more time by traveling to either of their locations. Iris Elevator, wherever and whatever you are, by the eyes of Horus, I issue upon you a divine edict. Release thy guards and manifest your blood contract with Ruby Tomria. So, you finally figured it out, my dearest Tyrion. This entire time, I've been chasing you. You have. It's been so entertaining to watch you scramble around. You've been making contracts with people across Ravengard. You took control of Arya and Beatrice. But why? Why would you want to do any of this? Oh, I can't possibly reveal all my secrets. This isn't the proper stage to have our final battle. You! But I suppose you've come this far, so how about I give you a little gift? Upon this contract, you know, is a grant stamp per sticker, that's your memory, and anytime the effort is coming out, memories in addition to that. What was that? Ruby, Ellis Eliminator is a demon. And she's not just any demon, she's the Empress of Discord. And you signed a blood contract with her. That's why you can't remember anything about her. What? Tyrion, I swear on my life that I didn't know anything about this. I know. She probably tricked you into signing this. Just like she tricked Arya. Arya? What does the prosecutor have to do with this? Come on, you two. I know things are kind of tense, but there's no need to. What are you holding? Is that a blood contract? Celeste, Eris is the Empress of Discord. But what? It was her this entire time! She tricked Arya into signing a blood contract with her. And she probably controlled her and Beatrice to orchestrate the entire massacre. What? Tyrion, this is crazy. I know I was scared of her that one time. But how could Eris be a demon? She looks nothing like Marahan. I know how unbelievable it is, but I used my divine edict to use it with her name. That wouldn't work unless she was a demon. Yeah, I guess I can't disagree with that. We'll need to contract the Grand General immediately. Ugh, but she's really a demon. Isn't it even possible to arrest her? It's already been a day. For some reason like her, it would be more than enough time to skip that town. We'll need to speak with the Archduke about this. Thank you, Ruby. You helped us more than you could ever know. Yes, of course. Celeste, let's meet up with everyone. We'll need to discuss our next course of action. Right! You're about to leave Ruby's office when she stops you. Tyrion, have you been using the Eye of Horus lately? All the time, yeah. Yeah. I can't say much about what I'm doing right now, but I am in the middle of a case. It's just that, what's wrong? Never mind. I don't think it's my place to say anything. I think I'm just being my usual paranoid self. I'm not with the one with the ability to read minds anyways. So if you're not seeing it, it's probably nothing. Okay. I know you can't just tell me about what you're doing. And I have no idea what could possibly involve the Kingsguard, Steelwind, and the Empress of Discord. But just stay safe, okay? You're the only family I have left. I will. I promise. Thank you. You finally found the leads you've been looking for, but you're not sure where this will take you. Knowing what you know now, you're almost a little afraid of what might happen. Who is Eris? Why would she go into the trouble of orchestrating any of this? She's not only impersonated the Eye Taker's daughter, she also pretended to be your friend. What is her goal in all of this? Hopefully, tomorrow will finally bring you the answers you're looking for. Yeah. Is something wrong, Commander? Don't play dumb with me. They told me what you really are. What's your game, demon? Why would you just deliver yourself to our footstep? Oh, Oriam, I put far too much work into this story to miss the final act. I can't wait to see how this ends. You killed 3 people and enslaved an innocent girl. Is that all some kind of game to you? It's exactly what it is to me. I'll admit, looking back, it does feel a bit derailed, but I think I've done enough to differentiate myself from those that came before. It's a shame about the timing of it all, though. You're goddamn insane. She's a fucking demon. That took you long enough to notice. I guess the Oath Inquisition commander doesn't have some observation skills after all. Whatever, you just better not try anything. You know I can't lie, so I'll reassure you. I promise I won't harm anyone. While I'm in this prison. Ugh. We're finally approaching the climax, Tyrion. No more deductions, no more talking. No more god-awful teasing when we both know who's really behind this. It's just me and you. Yes. And that's where we're gonna end it tonight. Just so we can have a nice fun finale. Oh boy! But goddamn, lot of information there tonight. Also, we totally knew it was Eris since like the end of the second episode. So anyways, like I said, I will probably be back. I'll probably be back on Saturday for some couple mod with the crew. So that's gonna be fun, right, chat? Right, chat? We're all gonna have fun. Right, chat? We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have all the fun. We're gonna have a fantastic finale on Tuesday. So anyways, yes, chef. Excuse me? I am not a chef. You shall refer to me as Chief in our endeavors for next Tuesday. Anyways, as I said at the end, I don't know why that made me all giggly. I will accept that. I will accept your apology, chat. We apologize. You just forgot a letter. It's definitely okay. Happens to the best of us. As the commander-in-chief of this operation here, or this game here, I make 17 million. I make like 17 million typos, so I can't harm anyone who comes in here and makes a typo. Just how it is sometimes. How it do be sometimes. Anyways, so like I said, next Tuesday will probably be our end of Tyrion Cuthbert, which I'm very sad because this has been like my favorite game ever. But I've heard that there's a work of a second game. So I'm excited I'll be excited when that comes out. And I will put it on the list to play, and I'll probably just be like, oh, it's out! And then it'll be like, okay, that's what I'm playing next. Unless if it's like I'm playing a nice game. I don't know what's gonna come out. Anyways, so then next Thursday, so that would be, I forgot the date already. So that would be the 13th next week. That will be the start of Bad End Theater, and then the following Tuesday, which is the 18th, will be the start of Needy Streamer Overload. Cause I think I need a break from being an attorney. But then when we finish those two games, we jump right back into the attorney game. With Ace Attorney, with Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Dual Destiny. But that won't be for probably, well, actually, I don't know. I don't know how long those next two games are. Anyways, I don't know. Let's see if I can find anybody to raid. Because we love to share, we love to give to our communities. No problem, no problem. There's nobody. Unfortunate. There's no really one to raid. Unfortunate. So this is it. Until Saturday. Good night, y'all.